Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 114 of the F.Reality Podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can also catch the show live in VR using Big Screen TV. The show goes live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Spotify. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, please put them in the chat. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can. Now it's time for me to introduce you to the team. First up, this guy is Red Raw. After locking himself in his room and whipping his pistol all week, it's the Red Raw Rowdy guy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Red Raw. Okay, I'm gonna remember that one. But no, I've been. My legs are still a little bit sore. Not gonna lie. It was a rough weekend getting all those clips recorded for that video, because I tried to do something special with it. But yeah, no, I'm doing all right. You know, it's been the weekend. We have actually a holiday on Monday, so it's an even longer weekend for me, which is kind of nice. And on Tuesday, my girlfriend goes to Ireland, so I can play VR the entire week coming.
Amazing, amazing. What holiday is it in Belgium on Monday? Is it sort of a bank holiday, or is it like a national holiday?
This is brilliant. This is exactly what I wanted to ask Rowdy. Look at his face. Look at his face. He has no clue.
I have no clue. I think it's the Belgium National Day or something like that. Or
that sounds totally made up. I love this.
Yeah, true.
I love this. He's going to get deported next week for being so unpatriotic.
Someone in chat can look it up.
Okay.
Why we have off on the 11th.
Awesome. Yeah, remind me. I want to talk to you a bit more about your mixed reality capture with pistol whip. Remind me to ask you about that before we move into the news. But next up, this guy has fallen deep down the rabbit hole of a Rube Goldberg machine. It's our very own Inspector Gadget. It is, of course, Zimtok 5. How you doing, man? You all right?
I'm good. I'm still reeling from that.
No, don't lie, Zim. Do not lie. You can't say that you're good. I saw the stream. You can't say that you're good.
So, a little thing happened to me, which is that after spending more than 24 hours playing Gadgeteer, so it took me, 7 shows to get through the entire game. On show 6, I was like on the last puzzle, and I was like, yeah, I'm just about to finish. And I was literally a couple of blocks away from the finish of a 2.5-hour build. And then my quest went to power down. I was like, it's no problem. It's always to save the state. And go power it back up, and none of my progress had been saved. So if you've ever seen a man, his soul leave his body for a few minutes, that's pretty much exactly what happened.
But the best part is your confidence, throughout. Oh, it's fine. You're even dancing and yeah. And then the moment it happens that you realize that and it goes like this, yeah. What? No.
and it was not an easy build. It was an intricate fucking build. I had it was a beautiful, gorgeous machine. I will remember it for the rest of my days. But the devs were really good. After I reported it, 18 hours later, they pushed a patch fixing this autosave bug, which I think only affects the last level, or did. But they scrubbed it out. I didn't get a chance to benefit from that. Actually, by the time I was playing, I kind of got the alert or whatever, but it didn't affect me again, and I did get to finally finish the game. The weird thing is that on the final level, I bugged the final level. I won't say much, but let's say there's some things that need to happen, 3 things, and only 2 of those things happened, and I still got to open the end of the game, and I was like, well, that's weird. I kind of just hacked the game. And then I went back and I did it again. But the problem that I really had, which was super frustrating, was I was trying to get my daughter to play it. And she's played in one sitting, she did the first 16 levels of that game. So good on her. She's only 5. And I couldn't find any way to I deleted my profile. I created another profile. I tried their kind of hidden stuff to kind of unlock and de-unlock stuff. And all my progress, I could not get a second profile set up without progress, and so it was really frustrating. And so what I ended up doing was I just uninstalled the game and reinstalled it again. So it would have lost all my builds, but it's like I've beaten the game. I don't need to go look at my own
quick
stuff.
question: when you powered off and you started the game back up again, was it you were starting from 0, or was it just the last level that was completely reset?
So kind of two things. So initially I went back to the final level, right? And I saw that there was no progress, and I was like, oh God. And then I go back to the home and I go back in again, and then it puts me on level 1.
Right.
And I'm like, and like daytime switches. So it was a different time of day, and I was like, oh God, it's all gone. All those levels are gone. 24 hours of work is gone. Like, it was just not fun. So yeah, this week has been full.
I find it funny.
Yeah, a lot of people found it fucking funny. You're seeing someone crumble is funny. That makes great TV. But the week has been filled with like, just like top of the mountain, bottom of the Marianas Trench. Like the whole week, it's just been things like I got to play Minecraft Earth, which was like, I was waiting for ages for this. I was a big Minecraft fan, and like the absolute top of that game is going to the middle of a forest and seeing a hole where there's not really a hole. And it's like, what is the friggin' point of this? I gotta tell you, I've played like a whole bunch of different AR games. I'm a huge fan of things like Pokemon Go, Smash Tanks, all that kind of stuff. I do not see the point of this game. I've played it like 4 or 5 days straight now. If you're in the UK, you can get it, because my wife didn't like pre-register. I did, and I went around playing it and stuff. And you got the whole click loop of like it's like opening loot crates and getting blocks of dirt and tree bits. And then, like, you're supposed to be able to build on a build template. Like, if you had a Lego base, right? You have to get one of those, and you set it in your house, and it's, like, way too big. You go outside, and it's too small. It's uncomfortably small. And then, like, the ability to customize it or throw a chicken that you unlocked into that terrain, it's just nothing satisfactory about it at all. And I'm heartbroken at that. So, you know, I've just been zigzagging up and down all week, Mike, to be honest.
It's been a roller coaster of emotions for you.
Yeah, it's just I like game. And then there's like I've managed in the last like week to like give 3 different Thing Buy awards after like a drought season of like 6 months. So I don't know. It's just been crazy. There's been some really solid VR experiences. So I'm very happy about that.
I feel like the show has now become your kind of like therapy. You know, like this is you. This is you.
Can everyone send like some hooks in the chat or something?
Your issues. You know, we're gonna get you through this, Sim. It's okay. You know, just deep breaths. You're gonna be all right.
But Gadgeteer's great.
On my couch.
Like the bug thing doesn't influence my feelings about Gadgeteer at all. It is absolutely brilliant, especially if you've got kind of like an engineering-y or building like mine. Like you tend to like that stuff, like building a bridge game or whatever. The thing I wanted to say about Gadgeteer though is there's kind of a hidden bit, which is cool. They have pre-built machines, so if you go into the sandbox area and you look at the game save state, I found this really obtuse to find, which is why I'm mentioning it now as kind of like a pro tip. If you do Gadgeteer, and they've got like a football pitch, they've got a giant dinosaur, all these kind of Ruberg machines, right, that you can see, and they release these over time. So there's more been added, like in October, for instance. So I'd really recommend checking those out because they're really neat. And if you didn't know they were there, you'd be kicking yourself later, going like, "Oh, I didn't know." So there you go.
So how long did you spend in Gadgeteer overall, roughly?
25 hours. Yeah.
Holy crap! There's a lot of value there.
Yeah, especially for me. I don't usually play games like that hardcore, but it just hooked me.
Nice. Well, now that we're all hooked. Let me tell you a bit about Nathy, because he's obviously not with us this week.
He's streaming on Mixer.
Still streaming on Mixer. His contract comes to an end tomorrow, actually, so he'll be back with us next week. He got paid a lot of money for that, so good on him. No, he's still in Bali, but we'll be back with us on next week's show. If you don't know who I am, my name is Mike, host of the show from Virtual Reality Oasis. We've got a busy show for you today. Lots of news actually this week to share. Some of the highlights of the news include Beatsaber's new DLC, Acer, who quietly released the new Acer Ojo headset, which I know you've all been desperate to hear more about. Climbey is coming to the Oculus Quest via SideQuest.
Yep.
Zim is going to give you the lowdown on the latest releases to look forward to next week. Loads of great content to keep an eye on for next week.
Too much.
Then we're going to be discussing the most anticipated VR game of all time, of course, Boneworks, which has just got a release date. And then we're going to open up the end of the show to a live Q&A. We thought might be a bit fun. You can ask us some questions. Anything you want to know about us or the show, go for it. So that's going to be at the end. But first, of course, let's find out what everyone's been up to this week. The highlight of the week. Feel free to join in the chat as well, and we'll read your comments out. Sorry if we didn't read your comments out last week that much. We were kind of a bit preoccupied with Kent. He's such a fascinating guy. If you missed that episode, go and check it out. Ethics in VR. I think it's a fascinating topic. But he kind of just like absorbed our mind space, and we weren't really so concentrated on the chat. But we'll make sure we focus on you this week. So should give you some love. So what did you play this week, Zim, that you want to highlight, or was Gadgeteer your kind of thing?
No, not at all. Let's move on from Gadgeteer, shall we? That's
Okay.
Small pain point for me. Actually, it was a huge success to beat it, but no, what I wanted to talk about was a game that I was that some people will have played a long time ago that only just landed on Oculus Home, which is Wolves in the Walls, which is it was this award-winning piece, and it opens up a concept which we've talked about before, but maybe not used as terminology, the concept of virtual beings, which is kind of like having a chia pet in VR, right? Or a companion in VR. And this game, the thing for me, you know when you play an immersive experience and something just clicks with you, like there's something special here, and you're not quite sure what that is, but like you're grooving it, whatever it is. Maybe it's your first time with like tactile experience, or your first time using a PSVR aim controller or something. There's something special and something extra. So Wolves in the Walls is this like 3-part, they said it was released in 3 parts, so they kind of released a bit and then buffed out a second bit, and they've just recently released the 3rd part of that. So even if you've played it before, go back, check it out. And you are basically, it's kind of like Ghost Giant, in that you're with this little girl, and this little girl is in an attic, and I won't expose much of the story. It's a story insofar as like Henry's a story, so it's a ride-along experience, but they actually have interactivity with it. There's decision making in it, and like this virtual being remembers your choices, your influence. So it's a little bit like a very soft-spined choose your own adventure, with a very gripping, incredibly well animated tale. And it lasts a little bit more than an hour. I just found it to be, it's one of those kind of Oculus Studio things that after, I think the studio has since departed from under Oculus's wing, it's just amazing. It's just like the amount of effort that goes into it. It feels like, Pixar level quality experience. And I think there's no excuse to be made to not try it. But I had received this as a recommendation from a viewer on a stream almost a year ago, probably 9 months ago. And it was unavailable for a number of months. And I contacted them and I'm like, please, can I play this? And they wouldn't ship me a build or anything. And then all of a sudden just dropped on the store. And I was like, oh, hell yes. I've had this card on my wall, because that's where I stick all my games I must play. I just glue them to my wall for a little bit. And I was glad to be able to take a card down. But it's something that I think I would absolutely categorize it as unmissable. So in addition to Gadgeteer and Pistol Whip, those 2 games both got buy awards from me. This does as well, which it's free, but it's a must play. And they have a little blurb on their website, which you get linked to at the end of the experience. And the end of that experience, I'm not going to say anything. It's an awesome way they end it. And then what they're teasing next is something that's even more immersive, and it's basically the coupling of AI and machine learning with that kind of narrative experience. Which just to me started to blow my brain and open my third eye and all that jazz. So I can only just say check it out, and that I'm very sore from Pistol Whip.
How long is it?
It's about an hour, a little bit more than an hour, maybe an hour 15.
It's interesting because when you tweeted about it this week and I saw the tweet, I was like, oh yeah, I remember talking about this on the show a long time ago, that it was this really interesting narrative piece. And even though they've just finished it as such now, because now the final chapter has been added, right? So it's now a complete story. It hasn't been refreshed as a new release, so you still have to dig and search for it on the Oculus Store.
I saw it, so I did see it highlighted. I did see it highlighted in the main bar. Okay. Yeah, for me anyway, in my content. And that's what triggered me to kind of check it out again. But this other thing that they're, I forget the name of it now, they're teasing a next part of this. So they're they're taking this tome and they're buffing it, but this other kind of extension to it, they're actually using this to do a bit of learning about your interactions, and then they're kind of spinning that off into this virtual being And this concept of virtual beings is something that is just really neat. I think they're called Forum Games, if you want to check out their website. And Virtual Beings as well has this kind of a separate Facebook group and stuff like that.
So does it kind of play out like one of those Telltale games, like where it's got decisions you have to make, and then, like you say, those decisions are remembered later on. So like
it's more subtle than that. Than that. So the interactions are quite, you're on a river raft, and you might be able to float a little bit left or a little bit right, but you're going down the river. It's pretty channeled. But that doesn't make me love it any less. It's a bit of the same thing I like about David Lynch films. It doesn't fully explain itself, so it leaves itself open to some interpretation about its deeper message. Whereas something like Ghost Giant, you kind of get to know what the whole thing is about, right? So.
Yeah, and I thought Ghost Giant was an excellent game as well. Like if you haven't tried that on the PSVR, like definitely go check it out. But yeah, Wolves Within, it sounds really interesting. I'm definitely going to try it. But you say this is an unmissable experience for Rift owners, right? Because it's a Rift exclusive, I guess.
Yeah, not Werewolves Within, but Wolves in the Walls.
Yeah. Walls in the Walls.
That's an awesome game, but slightly different game. Yeah.
Werewolves Within is another VR game.
That's a game about lying to all your friends.
Yeah. From Ubisoft. Yeah. No, excellent. Okay, so that's an excellent recommendation. Thank you very much for that. I will check it out. So what about you then, Rowdy? What have you been up to this week?
Yeah, I need to ask for a bit of forgiveness for I have sinned. Like I have played a pancake game.
Oh no, I know what he played. What did you play?
Yeah, well, first off, like I played VR as well, of course, this week. I played some more Asgard's Wrath. I played Pistol Whip, of course. I played another one as well, on which we'll talk probably next week. And then the pancake game that I've actually played is I tweeted about it a little while ago, but I've played Control.
What is that?
And this is. You don't know it's it?
No, I've never heard of it.
Interesting. Well, the thing is, I tweeted not so long about this that in virtual reality, I would like to see more like superhero games where like superpowers are done right. Like I would really like to see like something like Prototype in virtual reality, or like Control in virtual reality, Quantum Break in virtual reality, Infamous Second Son, like those kind of games. I would like to have these kind of things in virtual reality as well. But with Control, the reason why I really wanted to play this particular title is because there was like the way that they do the superpowers in this game is just really well done. The story goes as that you are a woman who ends up in some kind of facility, and you need to just follow along with the story. Basically, you have no idea what is going on in the beginning, and slowly as you progress through the story, more and more things become clear. But not only is the way that you have superpowers is very, very well done, but the way that the story is told is like incredible. Like it's probably the best that I've ever seen in any kind of game before. Is the way that they tell the story, the voice acting, the cutscenes, the cinematography that they've put in that game. It feels like that you're being part of a movie. It's unbelievable how well this is done. For me, this is maybe even like game of the year. That's how good it is.
Wow.
Now, other than like what I like about the superpowers, the things that you have at the moment is like you have some kind of telekinesis that you can like pick up objects. You can like throw them at your enemies. You have like some kind of melee force push attack, and you have is there a third? Oh yeah, and a dash. Those are the threes that I have now. There are still a few more coming, I believe. But the way that those are integrated into your controls is just so well done and feels so satisfying that a game like this just makes me want something like this in virtual reality even more. Because we've had a little bit of taste of like The Force and Vader Immortal, but it still feels a bit like a letdown. Like I still want to have more control over like the objects when I like flick them away. I want my hand movements to have like a certain kind of like impact on like how the object, that kind of stuff. I want to have more control, and I think that the way that Control has done it is just mind blowing. Also, they use RTX, so it's like I saw someone just say in the chat is the first and only game that uses RTX right, but it's.
Wait, you mean for the lighting?
Yeah. It looks incredibly good, and in the cutscenes, they also mix it together with actual movie scenes, so with actual scenes that were filmed with actual actors. So they mix that together with like cutscenes with CGI, with like, and it's so well done.
Does that work? Really? Like the blending of CGI and real film actually works out in the end?
I mean, I don't want to give away too much of the story because the story is really, really good. It's just very, very interactive and very well done. Yeah. You can progress through it really fast and it still will make sense, or you can really take your time and like really delve in all the little things to make sure you know everything. But for example, like they work at a certain point with like a projector that projects like a movie on the wall. You can just walk by it and just skip it, but if you look at it, it's actually a movie that is being played on the projector with actual actors, and that just works really well. I don't know how I can explain it, but it's really well done.
I think the cool thing is as well, like with Control, I haven't played it, but I understand it's made by Remedy, right?
Yes.
So the same developers that made like Max Payne, which of course is me, Max Payne, Max Payne 3.
Yes,
you really are.
I've always teased that I'm going to cosplay as him one day. But yeah, like in the Hawaiian shirt and stuff, you know.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, I'm like, you don't look like Max Payne, but the third one you do.
Yeah. But yeah, so I would love Remedy to make a VR game. I think it would be awesome.
Because I think they've also made Quantum Break. That's also them.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
So,
wasn't that teased? Am I wrong about this? Didn't we cover Quantum Break at some point back when we were VR Inside, like ages ago? I could have sworn we talked about it. I'm gonna have to go dig in our archives and see.
Yeah. I can't remember what I said yesterday, so yeah. Like
I see quite a few people in the chat have played Control as well. I think it came out in August. Yeah. But on PC, it's an Epic Games exclusive.
Yeah, of course. Talking about the chat, what else have people been playing this week? Any other good suggestions from them?
A few.
Let me take a look.
Well, I like this subject of superpowers, which I would agree with what Rowdy is on about here, is that when a VR game makes you feel powerful, that's a great vibe. And they said Megaton Rainfall, which of course is one of the first VR games that made me feel not just powerful, but that maybe they shouldn't have given me so much power.
Yeah.
But the thing with Control is, I mean, it's not like Megaton or like Prototype, for example, that you're really like overpowered because you're fighting like a paranormal entity which also has certain powers. So, I mean, you if you were just fighting like humans, which you sometimes kind of do as well, then yeah, you're overpowered. But the enemies that you're against also are fairly powerful.
I got to drop in the Dragon Ball card before you go to chat again, because there's not been a sufficiently decent Dragon Ball Z game anywhere, and I want a VR one so that I can fucking Kamehameha like through some rocks. It would be so shouting. Cool, but they're never going to do it right.
Shouting, just like shouting in your microphone, just to power up, like.
Yeah.
That's what you do at the end of the Jumanji, the VR experience.
Oh god,
power up by shouting Jumanji. Yeah.
Anyway, what the chat has been playing, I see Red Dead Redemption 2, Pistol Whip, another Pistol Whip from Joshua Johnston, Synth Riders, Old Space, Thrill of the Fight. David the Psycho also said that he played Prototype a long time ago, so there's another fellow Prototype lover. Dirt Rally 2.0 was Greg's VR. Gaming science teacher checked out Old Space on the Quest. He found it a great experience. Buck tried out Pistol Whip. I saw that Watto UK. What did Watto UK now play? I just had it. Oh, he played Red Dead Redemption 2, Pancake, and also VR with Vorpax and a whole load of Borderlands 2.
Nice. Yeah. Interesting to see that you played it with Vorpax. I wonder what that experience is like. If you could share some more, we'd love to know.
One you can't miss is Dirt Rally 2, because they released some new content, and because that's now running well. If anyone is a racer, yeah, check that out.
Cool. A bit like Rowdy, like this week I've been playing a lot of a game that we can probably talk more about on next week's show. That's kind of been my main focus this week. But other than that, I have been playing Pistol Whip on the Quest. And it's kind of funny because when I had early access to the game, I was playing it a lot on the Index for like my mixed reality gameplay video. So when I posted my hands-on impressions on some sort of subreddits and, gave you my sort of impressions of the game. And I posted on the Index subreddit that I thought the game was probably going to be best played on Quest, which, as you can probably imagine, didn't go down particularly well because I was slamming their $1,000 headset with something that was like $400. But having played it now more on the Quest, I totally stick by my comment because being free from that tether, particularly in a game like Pistol Whip, it just feels way more natural because, and I think it's because of the movement. Like Beatsaber is different because you're standing in one place, just moving your hands. With Pistol Whip, you're specifically squatting down like all the time. And what I found was with the Index sometimes that the cable from the back of the headset would then be trapped underneath my heel. I would stand up and almost like rip the headset off my head or like decapitate myself. So you just don't get that with the Quest. You know, it just feels way more natural. And plus, you know, because you're only using a single controller, you're cupping your hand underneath. It just feels great.
Am I going insane? Did you tell this exact story last week?
Yeah,
probably.
Roughly.
Yeah,
But, no. But that was only the Valve Index story, not the part of the Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that
I also want to say, Mike, you know who probably wouldn't have that problem?
Go on.
Max Payne.
That's true.
He's awesome.
That's true. He wouldn't have that problem. He would just dive all over the place without a care in the world. That'll be me when I don his outfit one day. But until then,
God, that'd be fun.
I'm just a mere mortal. But yeah, like, so it was just really nice to play it on the Quest, and it runs great on the Quest, I think. You know, it's great that I think a lot of people are really digging this game. I think it does have a bit of a mixed bag response. Like some people just don't get it, I think. But I think the majority of people out there are really, really liking it. And I'm just really happy for Cloudhead Games that they found a game that's got this kind of like mass appeal. Yeah. Because like the VR adventure games that they made previously, if you're not aware, were called The Gallery Episodes 1 and 2. And they were like kind of VR adventure games, really nice ones as well, but they just didn't have that kind of like mass appeal like Pistol Whip has. So I'm really happy for them. But have any of you guys played it on Deadeye mode yet?
Yeah, that's why I started. Yeah.
How was that?
It's hard. I feel like it's more punishing. Like I feel like it's pinpoint as opposed to like Audica is pretty precise in terms of what you need to hit. But I found it to be quite punishing. I find as well, I think there's a mechanic with the gun that the gun is less accurate the more you're firing it. Probably like a recoil related thing. But like so if you wait a second between shots. Wait. He watched me, so he's gonna fucking tear me a new one here. But if you wait a second between shots, I find it's a lot easier to kind of just line up and take that headshot. But I wasn't finding like joyous connection for at least the first 20 minutes of playing that way. Go on, Rowdy. What do you have to say?
So I watched your streams, Jim. I mean, it's hilarious though. Like I had a lot of fun watching you, but you play it like a spray shooter, dude. Like you just go like. There could be no audio in that game, and you would play it exactly the same way. Like it's hilarious, but like I think like what makes Deadeye, I think it's for those kind of people that really either want to play it as a shooter, really like a shooter, like they don't care about the music, or they don't find the hard mode hard enough, and they want to go for that extra kind of like thing. I think then maybe, but other than that, I don't find it that appealing because it is so much harder. Yeah. Because if you play it on hard mode, you get like I said in last week's episode as well, you get like so many music combos, but you can only do those combos if you immediately hit the enemy at the right spot, or otherwise you're gonna have to shoot 3-4 times. You kind of lose that like musical beat that you have been going on. So unless you are a Deadeye shot like Viper or something, then I don't think that mode will really work for you that well if you play it as a beat music game.
But the thing is, like for me, and my biggest disappointment with it, which is weird, because I loved Beatsaber, on release. I loved Audica on release. And I'm just seeing in chat, and this is really sad, that actually there is auto aim in Audica, which means the whole time I thought I was shooting straight, I probably wasn't. Shit. And so that means I'm probably just not equipped for this one. But I do think that they did the right choice of giving it the auto aim. It definitely means the game is way more approachable. You get into that lovely vibe. But for me, and this is what I was like so puzzled about on the Quest, like Mike, I think it ran great, super smooth. Actually, it's almost hard to discern between desktop and Quest. It's a very solid version. I tried the desktop one just for the first time today. But the music, for some reason, didn't grip me. And it's really strange for me not... I mean, the music is great. Don't get me wrong. But I couldn't get on beat for some reason. Like, none of the tracks. I don't know what it was. And
but did you play with headphones or did you play it...
All. Yeah, I tried both. So I tried initially just with the Quest audio. And actually I found it to not... It wasn't driving my sub pack enough in terms of the volume coming out. I tested it later and that was fine. But then I tried it with headphones. And even with that... And you know what I think it is? I think it's this bloody FIO amp that I got recently, the 10K. The headphone amp.
Definitely, because like I had initially the same problem as you, and I was like, I'm just not getting what... I mean, my rhythm is pretty okay.
Yeah,
like,
same.
Know?
I don't know why.
I should be able to get this, but there's a small latency, and if you have some kind of like I have with my wireless headphones, if there is some latency, even if it's not a lot, that is enough to throw you off that perfect beat, which makes it almost impossible to play that game as a beat game.
No, it wasn't latency. I'm talking cabled headphones. So my headphones were cabled into the Quest.
Like if you have a product in between that could add a certain amount of latency.
No, so what I mean is I played straight. So there's 2 jacks, right, in the Quest. So I'm doing one to line out to the stream so they can hear it and all that, and the other one straight headphone to Quest. Like there's nothing in between, and it wasn't latency because I'm good at detecting that as well. But there's just something about the way the tracks are mixed. It's weird. I can't put my finger on it yet, but I didn't find the same thing on PC. And I think what's happened is I think I've gotten accustomed to my nicely amped music on PC, and now the Quest just isn't good enough, which is like, if that's true, that's horrible. I've gotten accustomed to the better quality soundtrack now, but it's a great game. As I say,
yeah, also I saw that Roger Dyking said that Zim isn't playing Pistol Whip, he's playing Uzi Whip.
Uzi Whip, yeah! But the one bug that, and I just want to let people know this is a bug, because other people experienced it, was there was an issue on Quest with the permissions, which I didn't know about, and it meant that you couldn't customize your gun, whereas PC users are like, oh, they could do whatever they wanted. And I wanted a pretty pink pistol with a zebra pattern on it, and I couldn't do it. But apparently that's because of a background permissions issue with the app, that the app didn't like say, hey, do you want to give us permissions? But you could manually give it permissions by going through some steps they had posted on Reddit. So,
cool. Has that been updated now, or is that still the case?
I don't know. I think you still have to go through the steps, but
okay.
It's been patched a few times since it's been out. Yeah.
Nice. So that is Pistol Whipped. So let's get into some news then. And let's start with an update from last week's show. As we mentioned on that show that there was some new Beatsaber DLC coming soon. And it turns out the new DLC was a Rocket League and Monstercat mashup music pack that includes 6 new tracks, which released this week on the 7th of November for PC VR, Quest, and the PSVR. So these are kind of all Rocket-themed tracks. I don't know if any of you guys are kind of like Rocket League nuts.
I played it a fair bit. I'm no Nathy. Nathy fucking 1,400 hours, the nutter.
Like Nathy lives in this game. It's a shame he's not here this week because he I'm sure he's going to be excited about this. But he like literally lives in that game.
He can sing the songs. That's what
that and BioShock. Yeah, exactly.
This confused me a lot though. I was like, why does I was like, does that have even a notable like soundtrack to it? Like, how does this make sense?
Yeah, it does have a good soundtrack. It does. It's got like a really thumping music on the intro.
I think that's new though. I think that's.
Is it?
I think that's gotta be new.
But these tracks, there's 6 of them. I'll quickly read out what they are. They're like Tokyo Machine, Play, Stephen Walking, Glide, Slooshy, Love You, Need You, Tokyo Machine, Rocket, Dion Timmer, Shyaways, Slooshy and Dion Timmer, Test Me. They're the 6
tracks. There's a song called Stephen Walking?
No, he's the artist.
Yeah, but it's like Rowdy. It seems a little bit wrong.
Stephen Walking. Yeah. Glide is the name of the track.
Because like you got Stephen Hawking, and then you got Stephen Walking.
Yeah.
All right.
But to celebrate the collaboration, Rocket League have also dropped some customization items in the actual Rocket League game itself. They're a topper and a boost effect featuring the beat blocks from Beatsaber, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, those I like. That's one of the best things in Rocket League is the ability to customize your vehicle and all the stuff you got going around. I mean, that for me was like half of the attraction. The other half is that it's just an amazing like feel of forward momentum. in that game. So it really feels like if you have experience playing like footy on a pitch or something, like running up and down the field, like it's that feeling of momentum shift, like forward and back, and it really does feel like a sport.
I do remember Nathy telling me that he spent a lot of money on a cosmetic item, but I can't remember how much it was, but it was a substantial amount of money. So he's like proper hooked onto that game.
Do you remember what the item was? Was it the...
It was like a gold hat or something weird.
I pegged him for like the Back to the Future stuff, but then again, that got overused the second it was out. But,
yeah. But thankfully, the DLC isn't that expensive. It is £8 and roughly about $9. Which I don't know. Do you think that's good for 6 tracks? You get custom environment as well. So.
$8 or £9 for 6 tracks. Yeah. Plus custom environment. I mean, a little bit pricier than the previous ones, right? Which were kind of like a quid per. But I wonder also on the flip side, I don't know if you know that, like what does the DLC stuff, the customization accessories cost in Rocket League for the Beatsaber? Because actually for me, I'd be more interested in that. You
get that for free anyway.
It's free.
Yeah, it's free anyway. The custom stuff in Rocket League is free anyway, just to celebrate the collaboration.
Wow, okay.
But obviously the DLC you have to pay for the tracks. But like I say, it's dropped all at the same time for Oculus, PlayStation, and Steam all at the same time. And if you own a Rift and Quest, the music packs are cross-buy, so you can buy them on Quest, and they'll also be added to your Rift game as well. So if you own them both, then there's some value there. So that is the new tracks to Beatsaber. Next bit of news, bit of sad news, unfortunately, is from the team at Ready at Dawn about Echo Arena on Oculus Quest. In a blog post this week, they stated, to release the highest quality game possible, we've decided to delay Echo Arena's launch on Quest until 2020. We're excited to bring Echo Arena and all of its zero-G glory to the Oculus Quest soon. So, yeah, a bit of a delay there, which is disappointing, I'm sure.
I think I recently saw a trailer from Oculus using Echo Arena as their like Defy Reality.
Yeah.
Did you now?
It was this week.
Yeah. Did you?
It was this week.
Maybe we were just running it. No,
we're playing it right
now.
Because I think it's a great ad. I think Oculus have really made some amazing ads.
Those ads are great. This whole like clone Apple and be the king of VR in that kind of real clean, pristine, very high production quality advertisement space. They're killing it.
Yeah, like I always thought like the PlayStation ads were really great. The way they kind of depict that kind of blue visor. Yeah. But I think Oculus have done an amazing job here with this, and I think they should really sort of continue this, because when these ads get played in the mainstream sort of audience, it really gives you a good understanding of what it is all about. It
captivates people as well. Yeah. Like it's like, oh, what is this about? This looks cool. Like like a lot of gamers are always like, oh, I want to be more like in the game. I want to be in the game, and the way that they portray this, it's really. I mean, it's even better than it is, like,
Yeah.
It's true. No, it's definitely true. But it's where we're going, right? That's what they're trying to show us. And they really do take that that kind of vector from mixed reality. I love when they show just like ordinary people floating in space and stuff. It's just like, that's brilliant. I like that even more than the PlayStation kind of funky techno HUD.
Yeah. True.
So it's a bit disappointing, obviously, that Echo Arena has been delayed on the Quest, because it's certainly not an easy task porting a game over to Quest. Some people may think it's easy, but it's not. It's actually a lot of work. And if you look at Vertical Robot, for example, like getting Red Matter over to the Quest and getting it to look as good as it does was a significant amount of effort. I think it took almost them a year to do that. But hopefully, this extra development time for Ready at Dawn, it will pay off eventually, because just like Pistol Whip, which I talked about earlier, I think this game will probably be best played on Quest because of the freedom and the amount of movement.
100%. Yeah, I just had that with even with Wolves in the Walls. It was like the first time in a very long time I found myself sitting down playing VR, and I just, not that you have to, I sat down and I had cable rage. Like the cable was getting caught in my chair, and I was like, F this, man, I'm going back to tetherless. But like, seriously though, I would consider doing it.
Not that long ago, we had a discussion about like, is there going to be problems for like tracking? Because if you reach behind you, is that maybe the reason why they delayed it, or have they not given any specifics?
It could well be. I know that they were putting a significant amount of time and effort into making sure that it was going to work properly. So it could be that, but I think it's just the fact that these things take a long time. Yeah. I think that's what it is. Maybe, I'm only putting it out there hypothetically. maybe if they can achieve a really good port of Echo Arena, maybe they might be able to work on something with Lone Echo. But I think the issue with Lone Echo is that some of those facial animations, like if you start downscaling them, they're going to look super weird. So maybe not.
Yeah, even the size of the game is going to be pretty mondo, right? The thing I'm wondering is we've got a couple of different Quest titles now that have had the push. I'm assuming it's due to optimization and some kind of QA clampdown from Oculus, as well as the development studio wanting to go higher on quality. But this just reminds me of like, where's the Climb? I want the Climb, please.
It's so funny. I'm actually going to mention that.
Oh, are you? Okay, I won't say anything. Everyone, you didn't hear me. I didn't say
it was like a mind meld moment. You read my mind. But the interesting thing is, talking about like movement and being free and tetherless on the Quest, I wonder if playing this will give you an advantage over Rift players, because it will be crossplay when it eventually releases. So that would be kind of an interesting dynamic to keep an eye on. But we'll see.
I'd love to see an esports event. The thing is, if this lands on Quest has such a nice, like, wide, broad appeal. And, like, again, if you're the teenager, like, the thing to get this Christmas is definitely Quest. That library is just awesome now. Like, where it was in summer, little shaky legs. Now, undisputed champion in VR. Like, that's the headset you want. And for the price point, parents could actually do it, you know? And I think that this kind of game could definitely help come back in esports, because it was there, right? And then it's kind of dwindled a little bit. And I think that we could see the resurgence of it and actually have some real competitive, you know, like teenagers popping out of the woodwork, just going nuts trying to take each other down. I'd watch that, so we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Next bit of news this week, a nice little update to SteamVR, which fixes some of the really annoying audio issues. If you're a VR content creator or you're a developer that switches headsets regularly, you'll know the rage that is SteamVR when you try and plug a new headset in for the first time. And I swap headsets regularly, like testing different games and stuff out, and it's so annoying. Like when I go back to SteamVR, like plugging the index in, put the headset on, I'm ready to get into an experience, and then the audio's like running through my headphones still, or like my desktop like speakers. It's just really irritating. You have to manually change it each time. But thankfully, Valve have come out with a new update to SteamVR, which is update 1.8. And amongst other bugs, they've added some tweaks to the audio as well. So audio input and output settings are saved per HMD type. So now switching between multiple HMDs will preserve the audio settings from each HMD, and using a new HMD for the first time will default to the appropriate audio devices for that HMD. Thank you, Lord Gaben. It's just so annoying. The other cool thing is, there's a couple more little audio tweaks. Audio mirroring can now be directed to the default computer device or any specific output device. When mirroring is enabled and default is selected, sound from the VR headset will also play on whatever audio output was default when SteamVR was launched. Yeah. And this is like really useful if you're recording on a second PC or streaming from a second PC and you're routing your audio through like Elgato or whatever. So that's again another really useful update, particularly for content creators. And then finally, an update regarding the index, when if you plug it in for the first time, the audio driver defaults to 100% volume. And I've almost deafened myself a few times playing Beatsaber where the volume was defaulted to 100%, because those index speakers are like bloody loud.
Yeah. No, but that I suppose you're telling us kind of like a content creator benefit. I found it valuable even in my Vive room. Because the audio always used to not play, and then I'd have to take the headset on or off, whatever player it was, my wife, me, kid, whatever, go back to the PC kind of every single time. I found it was a problem. And since the update, I haven't had to do that. So long time coming, but very appreciated.
Absolutely.
There's also the main reason why I got like wireless headphones, so I could just like switch headsets and then just keep these headphones always as the main output. So that I didn't have to like change it on the computer. Yeah,
and I think Oculus is better now than sort of really pushing that the Rift audio is the default audio source. But I used to use the Oculus Tray Tool audio switcher, which would automatically do that for you. That's a really helpful little tool if you're not aware of it, called the Oculus Tray Tool, and you can do that in there. But let's move on to the next bit of news this week, and that is about Acer. Because the Acer Ojo, which we talked about on the podcast a year ago, has finally released. It's a Windows mixed reality headset from Acer, and it does have one unique feature, which I think is kind of interesting. And that is that the front of the headset, including the display and front-facing cameras, can be completely detachable from the head strap, meaning that hypothetically in the future, you could just upgrade your headset by replacing the optics and the sensors, which is kind of interesting, right? So that could be...
Well, we all know that probably in the future, they'll come with some kind of different design, and that probably will not be used then.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. You've paid for it. Like,
yeah. Or more likely that this just headset isn't going to do very well, so they never make another one again.
Yeah, that's what I'm going on that. Even the build quality in their trailer, I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, it actually looked like a Cylon. So if you're a big Battlestar Galactica fan, there's that benefit.
Yeah, and the thing is, other than that feature that you can take the front of it off and replace it, it's a pretty run-of-the-mill average headset. Like, you know, even the resolution isn't that great at like 1440 by 1440 pixels per eye. It's an LCD panel, which is like, you know, part of the form now with most new VR headsets. But I think the biggest downfall is the fact that it's a Windows mixed reality headset, limiting it to like 2 front-facing cameras for tracking. And also you've got like the Windows MR controllers, which they're just not very good. Like they burn through batteries really quickly, a bit like the Cosmos controllers in that sense. They rapidly burn through batteries, and they just don't offer the tracking fidelity of like other headsets that are out there with inside-out tracking now. So I think it might appeal to businesses, but I don't think consumers will be getting on board with this one. But if you are interested, it's available now in the UK for £399, and will be coming to the US soon for $399 US.
The look of it is cool, though.
Yeah, I actually think it's not a bad look. Like we should do that. We should so rate headsets by their look.
Look alone.
Yeah, by look alone. Like, I remember pulling my Vive out and going, oh man, this is like impact crater heaven. Like, it just looked like the surface of the moon had taken some hits, you know? And it looked as well, like, quite robust. And to this day, I think it's quite a heavyweight in terms of its look and feel. But I remember seeing the CV1 unveiled and being like, ooh, that's sleek. And I tend to like businessy stuff, just like simple look, not like real flary. And so that's why I always like that kind of styling. But this one is, if you wanted to cosplay as a cyborg or something, not bad.
The thing is, like, I think the Windows mixed reality range really needs a complete refresh. Like, you know, they really should, Microsoft should really develop a new reference design. Yeah. And then just say, look, everyone just use this new reference. This is the new standard. Because Windows MR, like, it's kind of been left behind a little bit. You know, the rest of the industry is kind of pushing forwards, whereas they're kind of still kind of stagnant a little bit. So definitely a new model with like better controllers and better tracking. I think they would actually do well in the market space. They would actually have some competition again. I think competition, particularly right now, is needed more than ever because, you know, even HTC bringing their stuff to the table isn't really hitting the right notes. Yeah. So
no, I think there's a space in the market. I think you're absolutely right. I think you're and I think actually we talked about this a couple of podcasts ago, but in terms of anti-competitive, you know, anti-monopoly law in certain countries, I think it's also going to be necessary at some point for that to come along, because there really isn't a second strong player in that PC/laptop VR headset market at the moment.
True. No, and standalone as well. That, you know, like no one's coming close to the Quest. You know, I know that the HTC tried, you know, with the Focus, but you know, the Vive Focus as well. You know, the standalone one. Yeah. Really, again, with price point and what it can achieve, it's not competition. Which kind of leads me on nicely to the next sort of bit of news.
Wait. We had the chat still like coming up with some names for the next iteration of the Acer Ojo. We had the Acer Uh-oh. Or also the Acer Oh No.
That's my favorite. That's great.
Yeah. It's a strange name. It's spelled O-J-O, but it's pronounced Ojo.
Yeah, but Spanish stands for I.
Oh, okay.
It's the same as I in Spanish.
I think you remember. I think I remember now you telling me this last time, but I just completely forgot. I know Nathy likes to say "oho" a lot, but so he's missed another opportunity being on the show this week.
Yeah. The amount of sound bites you can get out of Nathy, though, you know, We could definitely have a whole panel, whole switchboard for anyone who doesn't know pre-show. For about a year, he actually had a switchboard, and that was the biggest internal nightmare I think we've ever had. Yeah, now that he's not here, we can talk about it. He's never going to hear this, so we can say openly. You know,
imagine if you had a child, maybe say 5, and you gave it like 4 cans of Red Bull. That is Nathy pre-show to this. He's a tricky beast to contain sometimes. Yeah, a little meme machine, bless him. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to having him back on the show.
Same.
The way that just ended was brilliant. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
So in another strange move in the VR industry, talking about like the Acer Ojo and like kind of needing competition in the market space, is that some interesting news came out this week. It was originally reported by Upload VR, who found out that HTC were selling refurbished original Vives for $399.
Refurbished original Vives for $399. Sorry, who was selling?
HTC themselves.
We're selling refurbished Vives for a competitive price against Rift.
Yeah. So if you buy a refurbished one, so it's used, they've kind of like, you know, they've obviously given it a little bit of a wipe and put a new cable on it and a new face gasket. But you're saving $100. You know, a brand new original Vive kit still now goes for $499.
That's not bad, actually. That's not bad.
Original Vive. So like the
OG Vive.
The one that competed with CV1.
No, yes. But wait. They had a weight revision later on, so it would be that one you'd be getting.
It's a good point, actually, because we don't know. It's not exactly clear which one you would get.
It's been so long since, though. There's no way they're still pumping out the original. I mean, I've got the OG one. That's like a brick.
Yeah, me too.
You know? Yeah. I mean, I've actually seriously considered, both on PlayStation and HTC, to revise to get the new ones, because PlayStation has that horrible brick of plastic that's hanging off your hip. That's whoever designed that needs to be decapitated or something. And then you got the HTC, which all they did was they just like, we could shave some weight off. And I hope to God that within a year that Oculus do that for the Quest. Just take weight out. I don't need anything else different about the system. Just take weight out of the headset.
Just get rid of the battery. Who needs it?
Not if you play Gadgeteer.
Yeah, apparently. So yeah, I think it's kind of nice, but I think they could have been more aggressive with the pricing. But then again, I think that with HTC a lot, you know, they're always that little bit more expensive. But I think if this deal was like $250 or $299, that would have been a much more attractive price point that you could really recommend for someone maybe new to VR to say, look, this is a really great little headset.
You get like a way lower resolution though, right? If you compare it to the price of the. So Rift wait, how much is it now at $399, right?
Yeah, it's the same price as Rift S.
Rift S, but the resolution of the Rift S is way higher than what the original Vive is.
So it's not that much higher, but it does look much clearer because of the panels that they've used and the optics that they've used.
True. Yeah. But you do get it with the base stations and stuff, right? So
you do get it with the base stations.
Kit.
Yeah, and the wands. So you do get that kind of gold standard tracking capability. And that's why I just think if it was a little bit cheaper, like if it undercut the Rift S, I think it would be much more attractive to recommend it.
Is it with the original base stations or is it the base stations 2.0?
No, original base stations.
But even with that, like the way I look at it is it's like a stepping stone for someone who wants index later. You know, like if you're like, I'll like lay out the 400 now, like someone who's like giving the fingers to Oculus, right? And is like, I'm going to lay that out now. That's my foundation. And then you can literally piecemeal your way into an index. You can go, I want to have the controllers first, so I'll do that. The base stations, from all reports that I've heard, don't matter that much to a consumer. No. And then you just save up and go for the full headset. You could probably even sell the Vive for £100 or something.
Yeah, so, I totally agree. And the thing is, like, although it's like refurbished, you're not going to get like someone's face sweaty old headset. You know, they're going to spend a lot of time making sure it's nice. Like if you ever bought Apple refurbished products, they basically are brand new. So I'm sure it'll be going to be the same with HTC. You also do get a year's warranty with it as well. So, you know, if you do have any issues, you can send it back. But I just think it's kind of interesting. I just wish they were a little bit more aggressive with their price point. I think it would have made it a much more attractive option there. But that is what it is. Also, it's worth noting that this is only in the US. This refurbished Vives aren't available in Europe or in the UK.
Of course, of course.
Moving on.
Where's the sweepstakes for me to sign up so I can get disappointed when I win?
There you go.
Next time, lead with that, Mike.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
I guess you could use our old friends at what was it, Big Apple Buddy?
Oh yeah.
God, I hate those guys. Right. Final bit of news this week is that Climbey has released a demo on SideQuest for the Oculus Quest.
They what?
Yeah. So just like To the Top, Winlands, and others, Climbey was rejected by Oculus to be on the official Oculus App Store. Now, what's kind of interesting about this is that all of these games have unique locomotion, such as climbing, swinging, and I wonder if it's more about these games' movement systems than it is about the quality of the games themselves.
Yeah.
And this is why, when you mentioned the Climb earlier, I was like, maybe this is why we haven't seen the Climb, because Oculus aren't happy with these movement mechanics being provided to new users, maybe. And that's why we haven't seen it, along with these other games, because they're all kind of similar in their design.
Like, if you see like VR fails or something on YouTube, it is often with these kind of like movements, just like people that like go like and they just like fall over, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's the lawyers.
That's a good point.
It's the lawyers going like, you're gonna get sued. You can't do this. So if the Climb doesn't come out with a slightly different default, what's the system I'm talking about? Not locomotion system, but some kind of system that grounds you in your surroundings, I think the game will have to behave slightly different to how it does on PC.
Just flip the horizon 90 degrees, so you need to go and lay flat on the floor while you climb.
Yeah.
Just lie on the ground and just be like that from the ground.
It comes with a required 3-point harness accessory that you've got to suspend from your ceiling.
People be buying it for other reasons, Mike. You know,
could have some other uses there. Yeah.
Could be.
Oh, really?
But yeah, this demo of Climbey on SideQuest is free. It's just a small taste of what Climbey can offer, as the developer is still kind of working out whether they can sell it on SideQuest and the kind of complications of monetizing that platform. He doesn't make any promises about that, but you can just try for now this free little taste. The cool thing about Climbey on Steam was it's multiplayer, in that you could climb with up to 10 friends all at once online. Yeah,
mad.
Which is awesome. And it also had a level editor, so you could make your own custom levels and then climb them with your friends. Which, you know, if you ever seen Josh Dub's videos, he did an amazing one when he was climbing with Mully. You should definitely check it out; it's hilarious. So yeah, it's a shame that a game like that isn't coming to Quest, but I think we've kind of maybe unlocked the reasons why.
I think it's a fair hypothesis. And the other thing I wanted to say was SideQuest themselves do a really good job of highlighting, I think they call it SideQuest Legends. They do a tweet every so often, every couple of days, I think, something that's there on the store. It's not the easiest to find content, and I'll be honest, they've done some things in terms of filtering and ordering things by rating and stuff like that have helped. But definitely knowing what to go for in SideQuest straight off the bat isn't the easiest thing. So I'll be very keen to see this launch. And actually, I would encourage other development teams to follow the same strategy, because giving people a little free demo of your game is good. See if there's actually community interest in it. And as we know from PC, this has been a big favorite, actually. A lot of people love Climbey.
Yeah, and like Crisis Brigade, it's like one of my favorite games on SideQuest. I love that game. It's just so much fun. It's a bit like Pistol Whip in the fact that you can just use one controller and shoot that way, which is awesome. In a little bank heist scenario, and there's harder levels as well. So yeah, you know, definitely go and check out SideQuest if you're interested in trying out some experimental content on the Oculus Quest, because they make it super simple. Yeah. So that is all the news this week. As I said, there was quite a lot of news this week. But let's now hand it over to Zim for the releases for next week. Lots to talk about this week. I'm excited.
Yeah, it was difficult to make a cut. I'm going to highlight 5 games for us, but it was definitely difficult to make this week's cut, because I think everyone's lining up for Christmas. So it's like, oh, mid-November, do it then. Which I don't understand really when it comes to game releases so much, because in the end of the day, if you're going to do it before the holiday season, obviously consumer spend is up. around things like Black Friday and stuff like that. So that's probably what's driving it, but a little bit surprising. Anyway, first game here, Into the Radius. So this is a game that I got a chance to play when it was kind of early alpha/beta. Probably the first game that I ran across that felt to me quite a bit like DayZ. It's a single-player VR survival shooter. It's akin to, I would say, Metro 2033, Escape from Tarkov, or Stalker. It's got this real dark vibe to it. I found it kind of neat because you're kind of bridging between different realities. So you're in this space that has like zones within the radius that have been polluted or mutated in a funny way. So there's like, and then there's some weird like shadow creatures coming after you the whole time. So I really loved the vibe. The package together felt quite a bit rough. I did play it at alpha, but this is just released on early access on Steam. So a real, it's a real kind of slow-paced, eerie title. It's almost like a horror game, and you're just trying to basically kind of bounce in and out of this like infected region to be able to collect ammunition, parts, and stuff like that to be able to survive. So I found it quite interesting. I was disappointed it wasn't multiplayer, but the actual radius itself and the kind of sun glowing in the background was really nifty. So
I've seen this. Have we talked about this way before? When this was announced, maybe or something?
Maybe a long time ago, possibly.
Or I think people even played it before, and that the overall impression was that it was a little bit disappointing.
Yeah. I'm in the same seat. I wouldn't be rushing to it, but at the same time, I think it's a different game design than much else of what's out there, and so if you've been itching like crazy for something like that, it's worth giving it a shot.
Yeah, definitely giving me that kind of Stalker Metro.
Yeah.
Too expensive in my opinion at the moment. It's discounted on Steam, but £23.79 in pounds. That's £24 is a lot to ask. If it was £8, I think it would be fair, but it's a bit much.
Well, it depends on how much game there is, of course.
There's not a lot of game when I played it, so we'll see. I do have they sent me a key for this as well, so I'll check it out. I'll let you guys know. Next up, so that one's just out. That was 6th of November dropped, so that's available now if you want over on Steam. Next, we have, who do we have? We have Doctor Who I didn't know is now a chick. I had no idea. I'm not a Doctor Who follower in this way, but 12th of November, Doctor Who: The Edge of Time releases for PC VR. Notably, like the last title, listing only Rift and Vive on the Steam page. Again, I'm not seeing index support as unanimously as I was expecting before. So you travel through space and time to new horizons. You get to pilot the new TARDIS. Is it Rumir? Again, I'm not up to speed with the new series, so anyone who watches it, please tell me in chat if I'm off the money on this. I don't recognize anything that I recognize from the first couple of seasons of this that I've watched, but they're on like the 13th or 14th season now, so it's a bit mad. But yeah, there's authenticity. You actually get the voice of Jodie Whittaker in this, who plays the Doctor at the moment in the current season. You get to interact with wonderful dentistry utilities like the sonic screwdriver, which is fantastic. You got a migraine? That thing just does the trick. So this is coming out on the 12th of November. Couldn't find a price for it. Apologies. Maze Theory who have developed this game will shortly be releasing it for Who fans around the world.
I think is Doctor Who actually like popular outside of like the UK?
Love this question.
I think it does have a huge fan following in America as well.
In America, yeah.
But I'm not a massive fan of it, to be honest. Well, I haven't really spent any time with it. I think that's probably the reason why. But I think the VR game particularly looks gorgeous. Kind of was giving me that kind of level of polish that Red Matter had, with the lighting effects and stuff like that. And plus, it looks like it's got like a puzzle kind of vibe to it. So I'm thinking I might dig this one, even though I'm not a massive Doctor Who fan. So I'm intrigued with this one for sure.
Here in Belgium, I don't think I've ever seen or heard about it before up to like a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh, everyone was like raving about it, so I gave it a show and started watching like the beginnings or something like that, and I was like, why is this like to me it felt like a kid's show. I don't know anything about Doctor Who. I'm also I mean I don't know what I'm looking at in the trailer there, so I have literally no idea what this is about.
This is so weird. I can't be as the American Irish dude on here, I can't be the guy who's the most well versed in Doctor Who. Is that true? I've only watched like the first 2 seasons, and then my wife is like, "Get rid of it. She's like, I don't like
Eric
it. It's
is
creepy.
saying that it is a kid show. So
It's not a kid's show. What? It's a kid's show.
If you want nightmares.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Dalek coming in your room at night and giving you the old fisty? No. I think not.
I didn't see that.
Dalek is a robot. And then there's like those angel mannequins that cry and stuff. It's fucking weird.
I don't ever remember hearing the Daleks doing that, but
they're a funny shape. All right, let's move on before I get myself into more trouble.
What talking about?
It's fine. All right, next small title. You may have heard of it. This is Stormland. So Stormland's this kind of touted AAA title that we've been waiting for from Insomniac Games, who brought us many other beautiful VR titles. Coming on the 14th of November, it's a single-player or co-op experience you can experience on an alien world hosting lots of lush, exotic life that'll eat you, I might add. And there's plenty of like robots and stuff like that. The thing that really struck me about this game, having toyed around with it at PAX and Oculus Connect and stuff, the co-op is really solid. I found that to be really interesting. It wasn't as co-op mandatory as I would have liked. In other words, you can play together, but it didn't feel like it was designed for that. But the world itself is like really cool. The feeling of flying over the clouds is great. Ripping your arm off to upgrade it, fantastic. The grenades really feel impactful. I love a game with like powerful rocket launchers or grenades, and this has that. So also the free roaming. It's like lots of games tout open world, and then they don't feel like it. And I find that Stormland really does. But the thing that struck me the most from the game's description, which I don't know much about, and maybe one of you guys does, is they say, each week, the Stormland reveals new challenges set among never-before-seen peaks, ruins, strongholds, and caves nestled in an expansive cloudscape. And you can find new tech, upgrades, and stuff like that. And you could even, push the limits of your own robotic design. So that sounds really awesome. It reminds me of Left 4 Dead,
like
kind
Destiny or something like that.
Well,
right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go way back here now because, but Left 4 Dead 2, when it went like content finished, they published this thing where modifiers would come out, and every week something was different, and it really made the game fun to play, and it gave it this like nice, lengthier tail. So irrespective of how much single player time you get out of the game, I think this is a great concept, and it really excites me. So also it allows you to play something new with your buddies, right? Like Destiny, as you were saying.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking more about it obviously next week. I think we'll have a whole topic on it. We'll talk about our thoughts on the game. But yeah, there is cycling environments and content that happens every week, which resets. So the landscape will change and your mission objectives will change. How much content that will have in the end game, who knows? We'll only have to wait to find out. But we can talk all about that next week. But I think it's a really interesting concept, and I hope it does well.
And the visual parity of the game, like,
oh yeah,
it's
it looks
so
great.
beautiful. If you have a good graphics card, then you're gonna have a lot of fun in this. Just gazing at the world that they've built.
Yeah. And like just to touch on what you said, Zim, like from my experience playing it at Oculus Connect and PAX, like when we played at the co-op mode at Oculus Connect, it was a shame that there was a missed opportunity there, I think, with co-op specific actions. Like you'd both have to pull a lever at the same time, for example, or you'd have to like work an enemy from both angles. I think that's a missed opportunity.
The thing I did like though is it did have the recovery, so you could pick up your downed friend, and I did like that. The thing I found about Stormland when I played it most recently was the guns for me were way too easy to rip apart. And that control scheme, I hope they fix in the consumer builds, because it's like you tap the gun and you just like accidentally break it apart. You're like, oh shit! I was playing material wood, and like I went through like 4 guns trying to find a gun that had ammo in it, and that was a bit disappointing. But I think it might also be that when you have 30 minutes with a game and you're kind of rushing to play it, maybe it's just.
I had the same problem. I actually I encountered my first enemy at I think it was at Oculus Connect, and then I pulled out my guns, but while I pulled them out, pulled them apart, and in the end I had no gun left, and I just died. And the guy was like, "Oh, interesting. I didn't know you could die in the demo." And I was like,
"Yeah."
But the multi-mode guns, just to reflect on that a little bit more, like you have a gun and then it can be kind of like whatever, a shotgun, and you like pull it into like a longer mode. I forget how you switch between the modes, but the guns being multimodal remind me of the difference between kind of Quake and Unreal Tournament way back when I started playing FPSs, and it was like really satisfying to have that. So they've got some really nice stuff in there.
So it's basically if you dual grip it, then it transforms into a different type of weapon.
Which feels
awesome.
Feels fantastic.
But of course, we're going to be talking way more about this.
Mike's like, I want to say more. I can tell.
Next week.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So this is number 4 and 5 in case you're tracking it. So sorry, Stormland, just in case you're like reaching around the penny pocket of your jacket, $29.99 in pounds. So it'll probably be $35 or something like that. That's landing on the 14th of November. Next, Failspace. So Failspace is an interesting co-op crisis VR simulator, and I found this one to give me real From Other Suns vibes. It's a 4-player maximum, where you use your friendship and multiplayer VR settings to pilot and nurture a fragile spaceship through the ever-changing dangers of space. Looks loads of fun, to be honest. What you can see in the trailer here is key codes being entered, sine waves being matched. This is an early preview of the game from pre-alpha footage. Couldn't find anything more recent. But one of the interesting things is it's got co-op even with mobile, I think. And so you have this nifty Acron-like multiplayer feature, which I think we touched on prior to the Acron times, so they might have coined it first.
I think they dropped that.
You think they dropped the multiplayer bit?
Mobile, yeah.
Mobile.
I think they dropped that.
PC only then.
Yep.
But anyway, a co-op game, irrespective of how you play it, has a wonderful series of positive facets. I love my co-op experiences. If you got people around who can play with you, these games like bring you more fun than almost anything else.
The art style is pretty cool, though. I like how it looks. It's I saw that user ID in the chat also said that this feels like a rec room mode with awesome graphics, and I think that's a perfect description of how it looks.
The way I kind of think about it is like a Star Trek bridge crew, but for like idiots. Which sounds perfect for me. You know.
Yeah. To me, it looks a lot like although it's got the screen co-op, it looks a lot like Space Team, which was recently announced, I think, as well. So Space Team, I think, was a 3-player maximum, and I think this is a 4-player maximum co-op. So need to get my Mike's like thinking there as well, because I'm like, I think it was 3. Might have been 4.
That Space Team was like kind of unveiled at EGX, wasn't it?
Yeah, just very recently.
Yeah.
That was why I was sad I wasn't able to make EGX this year.
What was the price on this one?
What do I have on price here? I actually don't have a price for it. It's coming on the 14th of November, so if you can't play Stormland and you've got Oculus Home tears running down your face, then look for Failspace on Steam. That might just be because I didn't write down the price. I think it wasn't listed. Yeah. Okay. Next, the most surprising feature in my list. I was absolutely like blown away by this even being announced. Now I'm going to run the 2015 trailer for Golem. Golem is finally coming out, and no one said anything about it until now. I don't know what the heck. Are they sneaking it in or something? I'm nervous about this because there's been like no publication of it. There's not a new trailer, and it's like, what, 5 days away
I did know about it, but it was from a separate press release.
Yeah, but it's just weird.
Under NDA, which...
Yeah, no, so it's weird that I've not seen nor heard about this until this point, and that there's not an active trailer. You can't even search for Golem and find it on the PlayStation Store. Anyway, I got to play this. I think almost no one else has played this game. I have had a chance to actually play it, and I would liken it to Fisherman's Tale. The beginning of this game was very much like Fisherman's Tale. You start off in a bed, this woman who has I think she's got broken legs or something like that, and then you turn very quickly into this small little golem creature who battles some rats, and then after a while you transform, and all of a sudden you're full size and you're actually defeating things in the same way you would in other kind of combat arena battle type games. So specifically designed for PlayStation VR from the ground up by Highwire Games. This is landing. It's going to be costing $34.99, so it is a large or heavy price game. So it's being launched as like call it dual A. But what you get to do in it, you get to take on the role of Twine, an adventurous kid who's been left critically injured by a serious accident. I had no idea it was a kid. I thought it was a woman of like 23, 24 years old. Well, you can't leave your bed.
That's what they always say in court, Sim.
Jesus, this episode. Holy cow. Anyway, you get the ability to create large golems and see through the world through their eyes. So it's kind of this whole vicarious control mechanism. I love Rowdy's face right now. He is literally melting into a puddle. I'm sorry. If you are listening to the audio version of this podcast, why have you not checked out the live version on YouTube? Come see us on a Saturday if you can. So there's going to be intense combat and stuff. The thing is, just to give you the short story, I was playing it at PAX, started from the bed, worked my way down. It was very, as I said, Fisherman's Tale. Look that game up if you don't know what it's like. You go down underground with some like rats running around. It was like real eerie. And then it transitioned you to outside, and there was a combat bit with the golem. And then all of a sudden, it was like my hands were like floating or something, and I couldn't grab the sword, and it looked badass. But then after I gave them that feedback and they realized the game demo was kind of broken, Sony pulled it from the floor. And then so no one else got to play it. I feel bad for those at PAX East who were looking to play in Golem, and they made it another station, I think, for Rick and Morty. So sorry about that. It was cool to play, and I think, my initial impressions from that demonstration are I am interested in playing this on PlayStation. I think it'll do a good title. And it's great that it's launching, around the same time. So 15th of November. So when you've got like Failspace on Steam and Stormland on Rift, well, PlayStation, they're getting something too.
I do wonder though if this game can withstand the time.
The hype? The time hype? The 4 years?
2015 is a long time. I wonder if the concept is still cool, but it's not as new and as fresh as it was back then. Since there's been a lot out since then, and a lot of stuff has been done very well as well.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if this game can still stand on its own, as it would have if it would have released back then.
Sorry, Eric in chat is like, Zim ruined my PAX East experience. The 2 games I wanted to try, he reported as broken. Golem and Five Nights at Freddy's. I didn't report Five Nights at Freddy's. They got pulled as well, Eric? I didn't know that. But so those are the 5 games. Quick recap. Into the Radius, 23 quid. Doctor Who, didn't catch a cost for that. Stormland launching for about 30 pounds. Failspace and Golem with a £35 price tag. And I agree with Rowdy, if they haven't really delivered on the story and the polish, I think people will feel like maybe I could get more for my money with something else. There's things with like Astrobot, Fisherman's Tale, there's loads of Moss. All these games have delivered amazing quality. The last point I'll mention, thanks for Mike for the tip, because I love shell games. I Expect You to Die has a new DLC just coming out, and look forward to that. I think that's going to be a fantastic finale. This is the final piece. So they're finally putting a bow on their much-loved VR project. If you haven't checked it out, it is definitely one of the best, I guess I can call it a room escape game that there is. They do a great job of interactivity. Everything you want to do, you can do in that environment. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I think the final DLC isn't coming out this week. It's coming out the following week.
Yeah, so it's not out yet. Exactly, yeah.
We'll remind you again next week.
Of course. And so with that, that's the end of the releases this week. If I missed anything and there's anything else you want chat to know, then please do comment and drop us another remark in the comments. All right, nice back to you, Maiko.
Nice one. So the main topic this week is, of course, about Boneworks. Because yesterday, the developer Brandon Latch from Stress Level Zero announced on Twitter that the game is going to be releasing on the 10th of December. So really not that long to wait now, just 4 more weeks to wait and we get to play it ourselves. And alongside that announcement, they also launched a brand new trailer for the game, which no doubt we're going to be playing now for you to check out. But for those of you that have kind of been living under a rock and you don't know what Boneworks is all about, well, it's a narrative VR action adventure using advanced experimental physics mechanics. And that's true because if you look at any of the footage of Boneworks, it looks very different from really anything else in VR with this kind of unique hand interactions. And I think some of that is due to them using the Valve Index controllers with the individual finger tracking. So you kind of have that moment in one of the trailers where he's kind of like sliding his fingers up and down a crowbar, sort of Gordon Freeman-esque, which looks incredible. And I think because of the absence of Valve making, you know, a Half-Life game in VR themselves, this has kind of got everyone hyped, and everyone's kind of pinning their hopes and dreams of like a Half-Life VR game on this. So it's definitely got everyone excited. I really do hope they can live up to the hype, because I really want it to, because it does look incredible, and all indications so far are suggesting that it will, because Stress Level Zero, you know, they're established developers in the VR scene. You know, they made Duck Season, they made Hover Junkers, so they've got a lot of experience in the VR space, and they love guns, and they've really put a lot of that sort of like passion and love for making it look, you know, weapon handling and that kind of physicality in the game as well. So the kind of idea of Boneworks is that you're going to kind of be dynamically navigating through environments, engaging in physics-heavy combat, and also creatively approaching physics-based puzzles. So when you kind of look at these kind of physics combat elements and the physics puzzles, it really gives me that kind of, takes me back to when Half-Life 2 was like being teased. And I don't know if you guys remember that, but there was all these kind of like videos of like the kind of underlying tech about the physics engine that they were using.
Yeah.
And it was like using the anti-gravity gun to kind of like, you know, move objects around that collide with other objects, and then like wood would like splinter, and it's really like taking me straight back to that sort of time and making me really excited about the kind of physics based mechanics that they're putting into this game.
It was so long ago. Can you realize how long ago that was? Like 2004 or something, wasn't it? Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm showing my age. Yeah, it was a long time ago. But I was like super hyped then, and I'm super hyped now. The same sort of levels for this, and I really hope it does pay off.
Although, like, I am a bit worried that it's nothing more than that. Like, I mean, I think that it's really cool, the physics engine that they are using, but as soon as I see it, I'm like, okay, this is really cool to try. You know, I really want to experience this. But my immediate thought after that would be like, are they going to make this engine available for other games to use?
Precisely.
So that we will have other games that are, you know, story driven or like this, that will be implementing this into their game. Because I've played Duck Season, I've played Hover Junker, and neither of those games have Duck Season has a storyline, but it's not all too great. Like, I'm wondering, like, is there more to this game than just the physics engine?
Yeah, of course. So there is a story to it. It is going to be a story-driven experience. And apparently the kind of premise of the story is that you're going to be exploring the inner workings of the Monaghan Industries artificial intelligence operating system called Myth OS. So that would kind of explain, you know, if you're inside an operating system, that you're fighting these kind of polygonal enemies.
It's Tron, basically. Yeah, it's Tron.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So that's kind of like the premise of it. It is more than just like a kind of an open world sandbox that you're kind of describing. But I do think you're onto a bit of a winner there in terms of what Stress Level Zero could do to really monopolize the amount of effort and work they put into this game, is sell the engine to other people, because that's what Valve did. They did that with the Source engine. You know, they licensed it out, which would be super smart of them.
This is all, when that trailer ran, the new one, that's all I could think of was, I want to see the mod community do something with this game. Yeah. I want the myriad 100 different combinations that they can come up with, not just what these guys are going to deliver us. You know, so I mean, when Rowdy's talking about that, it's like that just makes me so interested. Now, whether or not that's a sell the engine, or it's an open up a toolkit that allows people to mod and support mods actively, I would encourage them to do that. And if they're not already planning it, I'd be surprised. But
I think it's one of those games that is like, once you've tried it, you're going to want every other game to be like this as well. So, I mean, I do think, I'm convinced that this is a step in the right direction, especially for virtual reality. But I hope that this, you know, is taken to the next level as well, that other games will start doing this as well and giving it their touch and giving it their kind of
stuff to it, because let's be fair, like we've had the Oculus controllers for so long and not really much has been done with the hand movement, save for Vertigo 2, which did it brilliantly. But I mean, that kind of technology has been there already for quite a while, but has not really been monopolized or like used really in terms of what they actually can do. It's only since like the Index controller, which of course can do even more, but it's not that much more that the Oculus controller is completely left behind, I think. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in it, but I'm more interested in to see what happens after Boneworks.
Yeah.
Rather specifically Boneworks only.
Yeah. So they've said that they're not going to be supporting mods at launch, but I think, like you said, it would be wise of them to kind of open that up to the community a little bit and see what happens, see what comes out of that, because that's kind of like how Counter-Strike came about, wasn't it? You know, that was kind of like a mod, and those other sort of games. So, and Team Fortress and that kind of thing.
And
I think stemmed from mods.
And look at the games that are getting played still today. You know, I was looking at Steam most played games, and you know, there was Beatsaber up there and a few other titles, and like Pavlov is in the top 3 or 4, like always. Why? Because they took a model that is Counter-Strike, which was, you know, hitting the top players in Steam until League of Legends came along for at least 10 years, and they just VRified it. And it's like, if you can do that, if you can take a hit from before and bring it into VR, it's almost like you're, you know, already backing a golden horse. And I wonder if they're really able to do that with Boneworks, because Boneworks, to be honest, is like they brought Half-Life forward into VR and added their own flair to it. And with that, it'll probably be very well received and popular.
Yeah, and I also think it's one of those titles, or like we see now, like the trailers that we see, is one of those trailers that can really sell virtual reality, because a hard part of like selling virtual reality is making people understand how it feels or how it is to be in that VR game. But if you see the amount of physical interaction that they have in that game, or like the amount of things that you can do, which is, there's just no way that you can do that in a pancake title. That's just impossible, because you don't have those physical interactions. And I think that a game like Boneworks, the trailers at least, show that very, very well. The amount of interaction that is there with your environment, everything you can grab, you can hook on to everything like you would in the real world. And I think that is a real selling point for VR, because people see that, and I think people immediately understand and make the link. Okay, so that is what virtual reality is about. It's actually like how we live here.
I totally agree, because there's nothing more immersion breaking in a VR game when you see an object that you want to pick up and mess around with, and then it's fixed to a table and you can't interact with it, you can't pick it up. Yeah, or you clip through it. Whereas in Boneworks, it does seem that everything in the environment is fair game. You're going to be able to interact with it in some way, shape, or form. And I think, you know, graphically, I think it looks great. And I think, you know, a lot of the other thing I really want to highlight is the sound design. Like, if you listen to this game, like when they're shooting the rounds off, a bit like in the new Call of Duty game, which, you know, I really enjoyed as well. I thought it had excellent sound design in that as well. Like, when you're firing weapons, there's a couple of like milliseconds delay, and then you can hear the shells like bouncing on the floor. You know, it's that kind of little attention to detail that really adds to the whole experience, and particularly with the Index, with that amazing audio solution, I think it's going to be great.
They also did, I understand, I think I saw a video of Brandon maybe more than a year ago talking about, I think it was a more hollow sound as you get further down the mag to give you that inherent feeling like I'm about to run out of ammo.
That's amazing.
Like, and yeah, the thing is, these guys, as we've talked about before, they're production specialists. Like, they know what makes a good special effect versus one that isn't. And that's both audio and video, and they're VR gamers, right?
So they know what works and what doesn't work. We've said on the show already a couple of times that a large part of the immersion is indeed audio. Like, if you do audio right, you're on such a winner, because it works a little bit more subconsciously. It gets you immersed. Also, I want to say that the winner for the comment of the day goes to D1360VR, who says there will also be a Not Safe for Work sequel called Boneworks. I mean, using that physics engine.
I just love how not safe for work this episode has become. Please come back to us, Nathy. We need our 5-year-old playing with sound bites. Please.
Yeah. But
bring us down.
I'm super hyped for this game, and you know, you don't have to have a Valve Index to enjoy this game. It will be playable on other PC VR headsets, so it's going to work on the Vive, the Rift, and Windows MR headsets as well, and it will work with those respective controllers. Like, you know, when we played Vertigo 2, like you said, Sim, you had a great experience with the Oculus Touch controllers, even though primarily it was probably designed to be played with the index controllers in mind. And I'm sure it's going to be the same deal with Boneworks. It's also worth mentioning that the Quest version of Boneworks, which is called Project 4, which was kind of teased back at Oculus Connect 6, that is still coming, but it's not going to be dropping at the same time. It's going to be coming later, probably sometime in 2020. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a prequel or a different story that kind of runs in parallel with this experience on PC.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's going to be cool too. I mean, it's just we've seen what Robo Recall did, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Are people hyped in the chat for Boneworks as well?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say that they're very hyped about like just it releasing and just getting their hands on it. I saw Simply Chris say that he was stoked for Boneworks.
But I think, like if you think about it, this year we've kind of been, especially like nearer to the end of the year, we've kind of been spoilt for choice a little bit, with Asgard's Wrath, this game coming soon. We've got Stormland
Which is funny because in the beginning of the year, we were a little bit like,
where is everything?
Where are we going? Yeah, what's the pipeline? What's coming for us?
Almost not being able to keep up.
Yeah, I can't keep up. Especially, but you have to kind of just choose. This is the thing that I've been doing. I was just like, pick a game and be like, just saturate yourself in it for a bit. That's what I did with Gadgeteer. Because the thing I have to say to anyone who's a gamer, especially if you're a content creator as well, allow yourself the like short holiday to actually enjoy a game. If you find one that you're really enjoying, just go into it. Like lose yourself in it for a bit, because nothing feels better and nothing I think repairs your gamer soul than being able to do that. And I did not expect it to come from Gadgeteer, I'll be honest, but I got that.
I love that. Yeah. But yeah, you're totally right, because like as content creators, sometimes you're just bouncing from one game to the next, and you're playing like maybe 3 hours of a game and then moving on to the next one. You generally don't get to finish many of the games, but certainly I tend to try to complete a game and then move on, but it is difficult sometimes, especially when things are stacking up.
Do not mention Shadowpoint, Mike. It's a sore spot for me.
Yeah, did you ever finish it?
I said do not mention it, Mike. I'll try to finish it this year. I'll try.
You should. I remember the pendulum one.
Wait, I'm ready now. I'm beating Gadgeteer. I can beat that bloody puzzle. I can beat that gravity puzzle now.
Good luck. So yeah, that is Boneworks. Super hyped for it. Coming on the 10th of December for all PC VR headsets, and then Quest next year. But I thought we'd kind of round up the end of the show. Like we've been doing like 2-hour-long episodes just recently, which is kind of crazy. Really, it's almost become the standard. We'll try to go back a little bit to kind of like the hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half episodes. But I thought it'd kind of be fun this week if we did something a little bit different and just kind of rounded up the show with a bit of an open Q&A. So, if you've got any questions about us or the show or VR or anything that we've talked about on today's episode, or even stuff that maybe we tried at OC6, like Oculus Link, for example, or anything like that, chuck them in the comments now and we'll read out some of the best ones and have a bit of fun with it.
Does this allow for us to ask each other questions?
Yeah, go for it.
Awesome.
You got a little cheeky question boiling up inside?
I always got little cheeky questions. Let me think about it for a minute. I want to see what I'll give chat the first go here. So.
I've got a question for Rowdy, actually. I was meant to ask him this earlier about Pistol Whip, because he recorded an MR video using Live, right?
Yes.
But we should maybe explain some of the magic behind that video, because a bit like my video, you did it from different angles, right? Maybe you can explain a little bit how you kind of achieved that.
Tell us your magic.
Yeah. Give away all my secrets. No, it was bloody hard though to do it. I'm not gonna lie. Like mainly because I played it on hard. I played every level I did. I played one on normal, and that was the one that was using the most angles, because I could reiterate it like a couple of times and it actually finished the level. While on hard, the moments that I finished the levels were a lot less. Just a lot less. What I also did was I did like a run in space. Like I kept in the same place, but I was like bobbing up and down. So the amount of energy that you use during such a play session is incredibly long. I also wore this haptic vest, so I was bloody hot in there as well. So it wasn't the most comfortable recording that I've done so far. But what I did for the video with the most amount of angles is I think I used a different of 5 different angles. And then I would sync up the audio afterwards. So what I would do is I would use one of the songs. I would first record the first person view, just record it as I regularly do, finish the level. Then I would turn on live, use the mixed reality, use my good camera, use a green screen behind me, and then record myself in the first angular position. And then afterwards, I would rotate my Steam play space, for example, 90 degrees, or like, I think I did it 90 degrees each. So I rotated it 90 degrees and then recorded myself from the side view with the same song. Then I rotated another 90 degrees, so I had the back position as well. Another 90 degrees to get the I first wanted to do it by 25 degrees, so I would get like a really nice like round. But it was just like, because I was already late with releasing my video, I didn't really have the time to do that, because I'm telling you, this is like 3 hours of like recording in order to get it right, because I did it on hard, and every time I failed I had to start over. So it was like I was proper sweating during the week. And then eventually I got all the tracks together for 3 different songs. And what I then did was I tried to edit it in such a way that it would look cool as well. Like I would try to edit it with the beat. I tried to stay while running to be on the beat as much as possible, which was also not an easy task because you need to focus on so many things. But that was a lot of, I had a lot of fun recording that though, and even more fun editing it, because you can do some really cool stuff. And you can do like some swirls and like some behind the back shooting and that kind of stuff. So yeah. I had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, but that's exactly how it works. Like, you know, you end up watching these videos, and I did something similar to mine, although I don't think I did as many camera angles as you did, because it is so time consuming. But you basically play through the level like 5 or 6 times, all from the different angles, and then you just stitch it up in post with the audio tracks. The difficult thing with pistol whip though is because your pistol firing is different in each playthrough at different times, so you've also got to sync up the audio track with the different audio tracks, and make sure you switch to the different audio track when you're cutting to the different cameras as well. Otherwise the pistol shooting won't be in sync. So it's very time consuming.
When you play on hard, you never do exactly the same kind of thing, because sometimes you go offbeat, you get like so you need to like watch every video like at least like 15 times in order to identify which is like the right kind of thing to put where, and then see that it all matches up. So it is not an easy thing to do. I'm not gonna lie about that.
It does look super cool though, so I think it's worth the payoff. But I just thought it'd be kind of interesting to give people a little peek behind the scenes of what it's like to maybe record a video like that.
One of the questions was, what was the total time would you say it took you to composite the whole thing? Not only just capturing it, but obviously putting the video together.
The entire video capturing and...
Yep, and how much effort?
Probably for me like 8 or 9 hours.
Yeah.
For me, at least double of that. At least double. 16 to 20, I would say.
It's just because Rowdy sucks at the game.
I saw that video, and I was like, I just sat there. I was like knowing how it all works, and I was like, that's effing complicated. Yeah, I can just tell. But you walking us through it just makes me feel that pain. It's great, but it's good.
Yeah,
I mean, you turned out, both of you, amazing videos. So,
thanks.
Yeah.
We had a question from Chad as well. What genre of gaming do you think is still missing or lacking in VR? Coming from Chris Colbert on Facebook.
A genre that's missing in VR.
I think I said it a little bit with Into the Radius, but like for me, a more of an open world survival type game, like multiplayer, not single player, is one, because I used to be a big fan of DayZ, and I like that kind of thing. Just like something really, really ballsy and hard, but multiplayer.
Yeah, and for me, I think, you know, like I'm a massive fan of The Division, like the Ubisoft game. So basically, you play the single player, and then it opens up into the end game. They refer to it as the end game state, and basically you can do whatever you want there. It's like an open world. You can play multiplayer, you can play versus, you can just kind of survive if you want to. And that's the kind of game that I want, and that's why I'm so excited for Stormland in a way, because it offers that end game content that is changing, and it's got multiplayer, and you can explore and you can upgrade and stuff like that. So that kind of game, I don't think there's many other games in the VR space that does it, and that's why I've been so excited for Stormland for so long.
Yeah. I think for me, I think it's the thing I said in the beginning. I would like to get like some kind of like superpower game, not like Marvel Powers United, of course, but something more like Infamous, like Prototype, something where I don't want to necessarily like a Spider-Man game, although I would think it would be awesome, but something more like overpowered, you know, where you're like Prototype, or like what I'm playing now with Control, like something where you literally feel like, holy heck, like don't mess with me or I'll.
I want there to be a thing that you have in your palms that you strap there, that's like a heat pack that activates when you have your force power like coming up, so you feel the warmth of the like, and you're like, yeah, and you feel the heat. You know, would it be awesome? You like go to like cast a fireball and you just like feel it in your palms. I would love that.
But I love those kind of movies as well, where they show like, you know, there's regular people that through some kind of like accident they get like these like, you know, superpowers, and they don't know if they need to do good or bad with it. Like a lot like recently there's been a lot of movies coming out about like people who get these kind of powers and then like start like messing up or like doing wrong things with it, which I think is a really cool concept.
Yeah, like Venom, you know, like a Venom VR game. And I think, you know, that would be the thing that would excite me is living through the transition, because a lot of like superpower games in VR, you just start with those superpowers, and like you say, you don't get to experience what it's like to be the normal person and then obtain them and then slowly learn how to use them.
Recently there was this one video as well, this one movie with a kid that had like certain kind of superpowers, but it was kind of like the concept like, what if Superman was like evil? I forgot the name of the chat will probably remind me what it is. I'll tell her which one it is, but it's about a kid that gets these kind of, that is like an alien, and it's like, you know, superpowers, and like Brightborn. Simply Chris got it already. I think a concept like that would be really cool.
Or maybe like The Boys. You know, The Boys. I really got into that TV show where the Superman character is like a real douche.
But like The Boys, I know comic book fans are gonna hate me for this comment, but I want, like The Boys, I want them to not be mainstream IP, like well-known characters. I want a superhero experience where it's unexpected what's going to happen, what the powers are, what the plot, because like everything now in the Marvel and DC universes is like so overused. I want some new stuff, like whatever it is. I don't care if the person can pump peanut butter out of their thumbs or something, but just give me something different.
Don't give them any ideas.
Speaking of food, we got to move questions because there's loads of questions here, and we can't just stick to ones we've asked each other either. Eric Hartley asked, love this one, what did you all have for lunch today?
Spaghetti.
I had a cream cheese bagel.
I've got the lamest of the three. I had 6 heated up fish sticks on a plate.
Nice.
It was a quick
fish sticks.
Fish sticks. Oh, don't even start that. Don't even start. That was a whole South Park episode, that one.
It was genius.
Oh my god.
But just quickly going back, because there's one thing I want to say about like a favorite sort of idea of a game, and I've always sort of said this, and I probably said it before on the podcast as well, but I'm a huge fan of RoboCop. I love the movie, the original movie. The others were a bit crap, but I would love a VR game where you start as Alex Murphy, like as a police officer, just going to like normal jobs, and then you get like completely murdered, like blown to pieces, and you experience that, which would be kind of harrowing, I think, but would be awesome in a way. And then as you're being like worked on and upgraded and being built into this like machine, you can actually look down and see all that happening, and then you become like RoboCop. I think that would just be I
do think that's a great idea.
That'd be
and actually, I've only ever had probably 1 or 2 VR titles, Resident Evil being one, but then there was this weird Halloween one where like you get murdered, like you get an axe in your chest, and it's a really weird like phantom limb feeling of like there's something in your brain goes not good, you know, and it's like you're probably not feeling it because it's horribly painful or something. Like there's this weird switch that goes in your head, so I think that would work very well.
We have another question from DRGE saying, Zimdog5, do you like putting fish sticks in your mouth?
No comment.
Okay. On Twitch, we have Parachutes asking which VR games or experiences have been most breathtaking so far.
For me, Asgard's Wrath just recently. The game is just so beautiful. You know, when you're in God mode and you're overlooking this like landscape, it's so detailed, so well done, that I think that's probably the most breathtaking experience.
For me, I think it's actually Stormlands. I think that one is the most breathtaking. The scenes that I've already seen, so beautiful.
Go on then, Tim. What
you were saying about the ending of Asgard's Wrath is like,
yeah. What's your sort of most breathtaking VR experience?
Like true breathtaking, I think I'd have to go with, this is an old one now, 2014 Alien Isolation. I was under this hospital gurney and the alien was hunting me down, and then it fecked off down the corridor, and I was like, oh, thank God. I breathed a sigh of relief, and then it charged back to me, pulled me out, and like stuck its thing through my face, and I was like, I was like shaking after it. That really took my breath away. Yeah.
I can't believe that nobody made the Keanu Reeves joke. Like,
you're breathtaking.
You're breathtaking.
All right. Yeah. That was on. When was that? On stage? It was sometime this year, right?
Yeah, it was. How was it called again?
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
He's hilarious, that guy. Here's another related one. What game has given you an accidental Boneworks? So I guess what game really?
Maybe I should do a game that didn't, but maybe was trying to.
Yeah, do that. That's perfect.
And that was the bHaptics Vest demo. So bHaptics, they have this like haptic vest. It's got like a bunch of different sensors in, and it works in like Sorrento. So when you hear when you have like a sword slash you can feel the strike going across the sensors, which is really, really cool. It's not as powerful as a sub pack, but more precise. But one of the demos they give you, which is super weird in the pack, is like a schoolgirl, looks like a schoolgirl anyway, kind of just poking you or like giving you a hug, and it's just so uncomfortable.
No, Mike, no, wait. I'm gonna stop you right there because I played that same one as well. She's not only poking you, because at a certain point
she gets a toy out.
She reaches in her pocket.
I remember this,
and she brings out a vibrator. And
yeah,
I'm like,
it is super weird.
That is kind of weird. And she goes like next to you. Do you feel this? Like, I'm like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with playing this. Like,
exactly. It was super weird. Like, I was super uncomfortable playing it. But I think if there was a game that was supposed to give me a Boneworks, then that was probably the one.
I did make a video on it though. So if people like don't want to get the FBI knocking on their door, you can go watch that.
SWAT teams dropping down. Yeah. But yeah, that was strange. That was really strange.
Yeah, I remember.
But I know like people like Cass and Cherry, they played that. What is it? The girlfriend one that.
Kanojo.
Like there's experiences out there.
Oh, there's loads.
If
Steam.
You're into that sort
Go
of
to
thing.
Steam.
You've heard, Sim. You've heard.
Yeah,
I've heard and seen.
Heard through the grapevine.
Kevin says, I'd like to know what Mike's relationship with HTC is. Like now after he trashed the headset they sent him. Do you think you'll be getting any more?
I think to be fair to them, and anyone else that provides free hardware or products, is that they just respect your opinion. And you kind of get to a place where people are like, fair enough. And generally speaking, I'm pretty balanced in my criticism, you know, like I don't just rip something apart. I'm normally like, okay, but this side of it was kind of good, or I like this part of it. So I kind of like to think that I kind of give some constructive feedback. Yeah. I just wish with HTC in that scenario that they would have given us access early. And we could have just given them this feedback earlier privately, which again, I've offered game developers and hardware manufacturers the same opportunity in the past as well. Because now I understand that they're getting to a point where the Cosmos is like a kind of a viable product. But, you know, even Cass and Cherry said in their most recent video, which I watched, which was really good, sort of revisit of the Cosmos.
The update video they did.
Yeah, they still wouldn't recommend it. And I think, you know, it's great of them to be honest like that. But I think, to be honest, like the thing is, and if you're not honest to your audience, because it's really your audience that is the most important part of all this. If you're not honest to them about your experience, then you have no value, you have nothing to offer, and people will just think that, you know, you're a yes man, or you enjoy everything, and that's not good for them either, because really you're advising them as a consumer what is worth their time and money. Yeah. And it's an important role that I think we all take very seriously.
It's never anything like personal. Like, it's just, we all want the best for virtual reality, and we have our own opinions, and that therefore is not like the ultimate and only opinion out there. But of course, I think it's fair to be critical, and if you don't agree with something, I think you should be able to voice that opinion, and they can take it to heart, or say, no, you don't know anything about it, so shut up.
Yeah, and to be clear, like, as much as like we enjoy, you know, getting free hardware or free products, you know, if it came to a point like HTC were like, you know, we're not going to send you anything anymore, I would have bought it myself anyway. Do you know what I mean? To get the information out there. So it's kind of in their best interest to kind of work with us in that sense.
Yeah. And speaking of blood-sucking vampires, gotta love that segue. I think just responding back to one of the earlier questions about, like, you know, what 2D game would you want in VR? I'm actually going to go to the point where what Mike almost has already answered this. What, like, TV show would you want to be turned into VR? And to me, I think what we do in the shadows, is that the name of the title? The vampire one? What they do in the shadows, which is like 3 or 4 guys in a flat who are all vampires, and they're kind of like fledgling vampires, not really good at it, but it's all about their relationship together. Almost if you took like the Bridge Crew pattern and took that to like what you've got to do as a vampire to stay alive and sustain, I thought it would be a really fun thing to bring to VR. I haven't seen anything since, like, I don't know, Vampire the Masquerade or something like that. But
I'd have to say I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Stranger Things. I've only seen like the first season really, and I haven't really seen that much of the second season, but I would love to play as like 11 in Stranger Things in a VR series.
That would be awesome.
Again, going back to that superhero like kind of thing. I'd love to do that.
Because supernatural and that kind of horror works so well in VR as well. Yeah. So yeah, I would be totally down for a Stranger Things VR experience for sure.
We've got another question from Chris Colbert on Facebook asking, do you think VR game pricing is getting it right? There's always a raging debate online about games being overpriced based on length. So I think he rather means like the software, not the hardware. I think we said already a couple of times that we think that the hardware, especially Oculus, is a little bit underpriced, which is therefore making it so hard for the competition in order to release headsets that seem overpriced but are probably actually.
So we're talking hardware, not software?
No, I think I think he means software, because he's saying that games being overpriced based on length.
I think it's such a difficult thing, you know, to judge sometimes, and generally speaking, I don't judge a game on its price or length. I generally just focus on the quality of the experience, because I think if it's a quality experience, it's kind of almost irrelevant what price it will be, as long as it's not ridiculous. So that's kind of my stance on it, really.
Yeah, it's funny, Mike, that we're in the same boat there, but like my wife and I sat down some 3-4 years ago and said, like, what makes a really good VR game? 2 of the things we concluded in that was we're going to take the length of the game and the price of the game out of the equation, because the way I see that is those are just like inhibitors, really, because it's like, do I have the money in my wallet? Do I have the time in my life? You know, and actually a really short, really well put together, cohesive experience with great audio and visuals or story or whatever that impacts you and like gives you that great immersive flavor. I take that any day over a 30-hour kind of shaky multiplayer title. Like, I hate to call the guys out after I said that, but like Orbis, I'm never going to get a chance to sink into that. It might be a fantastic title, but sometimes games are so long that if you're in our shoes, it doesn't offer the same value. If we were to, again, if we buy that game and you spend our 2 to 6 hours with it and then move on, we're not going to get the same value. And if you're rating it on that basis, I think you'd be rating it unfairly as well. You know, so
I think a problem with the pricing is as well. Okay. If you look at like PlayStation, the prices there are roughly always the same compared to like what they are on just PlayStation games. They're always a bit more expensive. Yeah. But I think what makes it more difficult in VR is just that it's not mainstream yet, at least. So the amount of titles that a game can sell, the amount of copies that a game can sell will always be lower compared to when, for example, it is a PC game. So in order to still turn a profit, or in order to still make at least some money or break even, those fewer copies will need to be sold at a higher price. And I think that is also a problem that is occurring now, because we are early adopters still. You know, it isn't mainstream. Not everyone has a VR headset. the amount of copies that are being sold is just less, which means that pushes the price up for a developer to, be able to do it again or to like break even. I think that is also something you need to keep in mind when you're buying a VR game, that you're actually supporting a developer into making something next time as well.
And I think that the interesting caveat is that like both Zim and I took a bit of a deep breath when you announced the price of that kind of Strider looking game.
Yeah.
And that's only because I think it hurts an early access game if it's priced too high. Because what was the competitive kind of battle royale game that was priced too high, and it just kind of like ended up dying a sort of a slow death. So I think pricing is important as a developer, that you get it at the right price point. But certainly from a reviewer's perspective, I don't think it's that important.
Yeah. I mean, I think the prices to the question, and just to answer the direct question, I think pricing in VR is relatively fair right now on desktop and on standalone. I think PS VR is a little bit hot. I think it's a bit too hot for my liking. Like, I'd rather, if I sit down and I say I want to buy 5 games on PC, I feel like it's fair, it's affordable. 5 games on PlayStation, you're breaking 100 quid, easy. And so the thing they do to balance that out, and big alarm bell here, the Black Friday deals that we've seen early that are coming, like, that's the time on PlayStation to buy your stuff. Like, I think buying ad hoc on PlayStation is quite punitive, but if you're looking for a gem like, I don't know, like a Tetris Effect or, a Moss or something, picking it up for a $5 or a $10 during a sale period is like the way to go on that system. And then it's fair. But like, I think in general terms, if you're striking a price midway between like a mobile price, like a mobile game, and like a PC game for VR, that seems to be right. Unless you're proper AAA. Then you can charge full price.
Yeah. I guess one more. We'll take one more if there is a last one.
I saw one from Nimsoni still. Let me just find it back. Sure. He asked, what do you think of an indie dev joining a bigger company?
Indie, like a single developer?
Yeah, or a small time
like
developer.
Let's take Nimsoni as a good example.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
He's an indie dev.
He's telling us something here. This is an early scoop.
Yeah. If he gets acquired by someone like Insomniac or another team like that,
then he deserves to burn in hell.
I think it would be great, because what he's done and what the kind of, particularly the work that he's done, is very innovative, and he kind of like he makes things quickly, like makes it things and then innovates and iterates on it. So like the whole climbing thing with the whole Spider-Man experience and the Sonic the Hedgehog experience and the Mario one, like it is really fun and innovative, and I think certainly a lot of dev studios could benefit from something like that.
I agree. I think it of course depends on the indie dev studio or on the indie developer, but and also on the big company, of course, and what he's going to be working on. But mostly, the only thing I'm always a little bit afraid of is that a lot of those like indie devs are so great because they do whatever they like. Yeah. And once they join a big company, they're a little bit more shackled, and they have to, do the things that fit the company's ID. And sometimes I'm a bit worried if that like limits their creativity. But I mean, it depends on it, of course, on the situation.
This is the point that I wanted to make on this. So I think, provided you're very explicit in your contractual agreement with the company, you don't have to be stifled. And that's the most important part. Because if you join a company who's going to be like, wraps you up, puts duct tape around your mouth, and you can't be the creative individual you've been all the way up to that point. I think about the creators of so many great indie VR hits. I won't name anybody, but we've seen it with other people who've gone into various jobs and creative sides and stuff. The person I'd like to call out actually is probably Frank, who joined PSVR. Frank, who joined First Contact. And he's done a great job of like maintaining his voice and some presence in that space, and he's doing that now on behalf of a company who they've obviously seen kind of eye to eye. And if you've got that bond, great. And if that makes you happy, fantastic. The thing I think you have to be really careful of, just as an individual developer, is look at that very carefully. Like, are you going to, in that relationship, be able to see eye to eye after 6 months with that company? So I would say be very smart with the contract up front. put a stipulation in. Like, contracts are malleable, right? You don't have to sign what they necessarily give you. Negotiate and say, like, my time is my time, and what I do, won't represent your company. I'll put a little disclaimer or whatever, but I want to be me outside of this. And then, like what Mike said, give value to them and drag them into the direction that obviously they're hiring you for. So
what I want to know from Nim Sony is who you're going to be working for. But anyway, let's kind of round up the show then. We've gone on for 2 hours now. So just a quick reminder, this is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can catch the show live in VR as well using big screen TV. Watch with other like-minded VR enthusiasts. It's a really cool way to watch the show. The show goes live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in central US. Also, check out the audio version. You can listen to it on your commute on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Spotify. It's been a really cool show.
And
like and subscribe. I don't know.
Leave a like on this video. No.
That's Nathy's little like and subscribe. But anyway, we hope you have a great week in VR. Enjoy Stormland when it comes out. We'll be talking more about it on next week's show in detail. So yeah, we've had a great show with you. It's been fun hanging out and doing a little Q&A as well. So if you enjoyed it, let us know. Have a great week. See you then. Bye-bye for now. Take care.
Bye-bye. See you.